Yo, what's up guys, L3 here. I'm going to try to get this video out to y'all before this hurricane comes and wipes away my entire setup. So today we're going to be doing 5 tips for FL Studio beginners. If you're not a beginner, you probably already know most of the stuff. These are 5 tangible things that I do to make my music sound better. So these are not like shortcuts or BS tips. These are things I actually do. And this can be for any DAW. So let me show y'all, enough of me yapping, let me show y'all the beat, what we're working with here. This is a beat I made a couple weeks ago, so let me show y'all a little section. Alright, y'all get the point. It's actually a good beat. This is not a BusyWorks Beats tutorial. So tip number 1, sound selection. I know that might sound a little silly, but if you choose bad sounds, your beat's going to sound bad. And this just comes with experience. If you develop your ear, you'll learn to figure out what sounds good and what doesn't. So let me just play all the piano sound. Pretty straightforward, electric piano. I'm not going to really be going over VSTs. I'm not saying you can't use stock plugins. There's definitely good sounds on stock plugins. But for example, let me just replace this with Purity, and I'll play the first one. So I mean, it doesn't sound terrible, but in my opinion, it just doesn't sound as good. So it's about finding a good sound for your beat. Let me just go to like the lead. What I use for this, Purity. Sounds pretty cool. We'll just choose another random lead. Yeah, see, I mean, this does not sound very good in my opinion. So sound selection, super important. Number 2, humanize your keys. So what do I mean by humanize your keys? Okay, we're making beats on a computer, so we want to make it sound like we're not making beats on a computer. We want to make it sound like a real piano is being played. So a couple things you could do for that is, I mean, if you just visually look at this, all the keys are not being played at the same time. Some of them are what would be considered offbeat. They're not in the grid. So it's just about getting creative with your keys, and a couple things you can do is mess with the velocity and the strum. So if you select all your keys and do Alt-R, that'll pull up the velocity randomizer, and you can mess with the levels. So it sounds, velocity is a little low, it sounds nice, soft, they're random. If you do something like this where all the velocity is the same, it doesn't sound as good in my opinion. Another thing was the strum, so Control A and Alt S will pull up your strum, and you can mess with that here. I already did it on this one, but you'll get the gist of that. Tip number 3 is I'm going to show y'all what I do for my drums and little tricks I do for that. So let's pull up the drum pattern. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I'll show you a few things I did to make it sound a little better. So I do a lot of panning with my drums. What I mean by panning, there's a couple different ways you can do it. Let me start with the hi-hat. So if we go to the mixer, I got Fruity Pan-O-Matic on it, and the drum's panning from left to right, left to right. Or excuse me, the sound is playing from left to right. So I just think it adds a little more to the sound, just makes it sound more interesting. I did the same thing with the stomp. And here's another way you can do it. If you go to the piano roll, go to Control, Note Pan, you can hear the stomp's going from left to right, left to right. I just think it sounds a lot cooler. Another thing I do with my drums is velocity, super important. Most of the sounds you can just keep them normal, but for stuff like your kick and your 808, obviously you're going to want them to be punchy, and you're going to want them to sit on top of the mix. So you're going to have I usually just max out my velocity on the kicks. We go to the 808. Same thing, velocity. number 4, song structure. Okay, I cannot stress the importance of this. If you're making a beat, I don't want to listen to a 3-minute loop. Okay, so what do I mean by song structure? You look what I have here. I got different sounds coming in at different times. So we got the intro. We're gonna have an intro. Typically, you're gonna have an intro, verse, and a hook, an outro, stuff like that. One thing I like to do is here we got the lead coming in, and I play a little bit of the end, kind of transition. Lots of little things like that you can do. One thing that helps me a lot is just listening to some of your favorite songs, or drag a song into FL Studio and just literally copy how the song is structured, with how the drums go in and out, different things like that. Let me show you what I do for drums. Here, for example, we got the 808 playing the entire time. And then it drops out, and it comes back in. So that's just some little stuff like that you can do to make your song sound less boring. Because, like I said, no one wants to listen to a 3-minute loop. Tip number 5, and this is something I do a lot in my beats: switch-ups. So not even just melody switch-ups, but drum switch-ups, bass switch-ups. Like from here, we got it going from an 808 to just a kind of a simple bass line here. So let me play that. Another thing I did there was I used different drums. I put in a snap and I put in different sounds. Another thing I did in terms of switch ups is for the outro, I got an EP and a pad playing right here, and at the end I just switched to a piano. And I put some strings in there. These strings were not in the entire first half of the beat. So let me show you how that sounds.
He's the one.
So that's what I mean by song structure and switch ups. Okay, because some of y'all beats, they look like this, and then you put your drums. That's not a beat, okay? That's a loop basically. No artist is gonna hop on that. No one wants to listen to that. So definitely get creative with it, and don't be afraid. Like I said, to just copy another song, not necessarily to release it, but for practice. You can drag in acapellas or vocals, or drag in your favorite songs and just try to recreate the beat. So hope these tips were helpful for y'all. Drop a comment, let me know if you guys want any more melody breakdowns or maybe some mixing tutorials. So yeah, let me know. Peace.